So I'm recording and that's fine. So during the course of your assignment, some persons were asking, how do we display images side by side? How do we display this side by side? And so on and so forth. Now, those questions are good questions. They are fine. But like I said, we're not majoring on front end, but that doesn't mean we're not going to do it. We're going to do it and we'll see how it's done. But after today's class, we'll be moving to back end proper. Maybe not back end proper, but what makes back end. So what I advise you is, if you've not been serious, please, this is the time to be serious. If you've not been doing the assignment, this is the time to start doing the assignment. If you've not been attending variety night, please, this is the time to start attending variety night. Okay, I have this here. Like I said, please, if you have any question, keep it on this question and answer topic. I may not see it if you drop it any other place. So I have this. I have my CSS. The first thing I want to do is create an index file for my HTML. Index.html. I have that, and then to bootstrap it, I will use a question mark to bootstrap it, and I want to believe you are familiar with this, which is why I've been giving you the assignment so far. I think that's too big. So inside here, I will put a H1 and say welcome and save it. Now this is my HTML, nothing much, just pretty basic. Then the next thing I want to do is create an index file for my CSS, index.css, and save it. So I can then open up this with live server, open with live server. I have that. So this is live server, but I want to use a second browser. So I will not use this browser. I'll open a different browser here. So this is, I said, these are just the reasons why I've been giving you this assignment. How to create a project, start writing code with VS Code, get comfortable with VS Code. Now, if you don't know that at this point, then there is a problem. Because at this point, you're supposed to be very comfortable with VS Code. Very, very comfortable with VS Code. So I have this, and it says, welcome. Now, for the person who is asking, how do we add class and how do we add images? I want to do those two things for the last time. Now, to add a class, you come here in the beginning of, or the opening tag of any tag, the opening tag of any tag. Inside the angle bracket, you write class. So when you write class, allow Emmy to suggest so that you have the quotation and the equal mark. Now you can name it anything. I can name this as Emma or be Emma, anyone. Emma, like that. So this is how you assign a class name to any tag. At the opening tag of any tag. Now, if I want to see that this is working, I'll copy the class name I gave to it, which is Emma, and then come to my CSS, start with a dot. And the reason why I'm starting with a dot is because dot represents the class. Save it. Now, it's not reflecting. It's not working. The reason is because I have not been able to link my CSS file. Now, it's very compulsory, or will I say it's very important that you link your CSS file to your HTML. Otherwise, the browser will not recognize your CSS. So once you do that, it means that this class name, if I change this class name to something like this and save it, you see it's now working again. I have to come here and make sure that the class name in the HTML is exactly what I am calling here. This is the first way to add class, and I want to believe everybody knows how to add classes now. The second thing is adding images locally. So I will go to google.com and find any image of my choice. Any image. I can look for what am I looking for? What am I looking for? Which image am I looking for? Let me just look for any logo. I'll copy this logo, or maybe I'll just download it. So I'll click here and download. Where is download? Yeah, save image as. So this is going to save to my downloads folder. I'll save that there. What I want to do is come back to my project, create a folder for images. So any image I create or download, I will put it inside here. Any image I download, I'll put it inside here. I've downloaded an image, so I want to put that image inside here. That is the only way you can use it. You cannot use it from your downloads folder. You can only use it inside your project directory, which is why it's very, very important to create a folder for images. And like I said, if you have issues with all of this, it's very normal. Our backend developers do have issues with some of this, which is why we teach it. So I will copy this, I will drag this image rather. Drag it, sorry. It's not dragging, no. So I'll drag it and I'll drop it on top of the images here. So I've dropped it there. Now the image is inside my project directory. Let me confirm that we are recording first. Yes, we are recording. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm sorry about that mistake for that day. It happens. It happens sometimes. You get lost and then you forget to record the class. So my image is here inside my image folder. I downloaded this and I dropped it inside the image folder. So I can close the folder now. Come back here. To add an image, what you need to do is to bring in an image tag. The first thing is add the source, the auth. I can say let the auth be logo. And if I save it, you see that it is showing logo here. And this is like this because there is no image attached to the tag. So here I will use / to find the image. So the image is inside images and the image name is called download.jpg. So if I save that, you see my image appear here. So this is how to add images. And I will repeat again, if you're having issues with this, no problem. It's understandable. Backend developers do have issues with front end, which is why they move to do back end. But find a way to do the assignment because the assignment is very, very important. That is the only way I know that you are good. Now, I'm supposed to, I don't know if I should say this, but just bear with me. Let me say this. Now, by the end of your class, most persons might get jobs somewhere and they will be like, oh, who taught you? How did you learn coding? Or bring a reference, bring somebody that can actually say one or two things that you actually know what you are doing. And a lot of students will come back to me and start calling me, hello, sir, I work here. Can you just say one or two things? They want to confirm from you and all of that. Also, I have a project I want to work on. Please, can you assist me? Can you ask me, can I ask you one or two questions about the project? Now, in a situation like that, I don't waste my time if I am not familiar with your name or if I don't believe you can handle that project. So how will I know that you can handle a project? It is when you do my assignment, you submit my assignment. From there, I will know that, okay, this person was active in my class. He can handle this project. Please give him the project. Or you know what, this person was very active in my class. And whatever you want to ask me, I might respond to you. That way, I save myself the stress. Because if you can't handle the project and you bring my name inside, it means that I will have to build that project for you, which I may not have the time to do it. or you'll be asking me questions that are too difficult for me to answer because you don't really understand how to build a project. So which is why doing the assignment and also showing up in class, attending variety nights, submitting assignment is very, very important to me, not for the grade, but so that after the class, whoever is calling me as a reference or whatever, I know your capability. I know what you can do. We are working on a project. I think there's the cohort one are working on a project, and they had 3 backend developers put in one team. And I was asked, can the 3 of them build this project? I told them, you know what? Remove the 2. Keep only this one. Keep only this girl. She will build the project alone. Put the other guy in a different team. He will build the project alone. Put the other 3rd person in a different team. He will build the project alone. So how am I able to know their capability and what they can do? It's because I've seen them submit assignments. I've seen them attend my classes, answer my questions, do whatever I ask them to do. So based on that, I can tell anybody, give them this project, they can handle it. So please find a way to build your assignment. That is the only way I will know you. Now, some of you, I don't know you, but before the end of this program, I will get to know you. You also get to know me. And we may actually work together on projects. We may not. You may get a job somewhere and you need a reference. Please don't put me in an awkward situation. So, but that being said, I am here for all of you. Don't. But the second thing is, I will be needing a class rep from this class, and pretty much I don't know who to pick. So if you are interested in being the class rep, now what will the class rep do? There are some questions I don't answer. The class rep will be there to answer the question. There are some persons who need a little guidance. The class rep will be there to guide them. Now, sometimes in the variety night, they will need somebody to speak on behalf of backend students. The class rep will be there to speak. If there is anything they need from the backend, the class rep will be the first person to call before calling any other person. So if you think you can be able to do these things, 1 or 2, please just drop your name. I need 2 persons, a girl and a guy. Even if the 2 of you are girls, if the 2 of you are boys, it doesn't really matter. But I just need somebody. Now, I will pick one of you, but if you're interested, just drop your name in the question and answer topic so I know that I have a class rep. So that being said, I am done with all of that. Now let's move on to what we have for today. What we have for today. So the first thing we want to talk about is, you know what? I think I will leave the introduction. Should I leave the images? I remove the image. I'll save this. So now, whatever I do, and you know you cannot do it, please don't allow me cross over. Whatever I do now, which is why I don't like the question of not knowing how to add an image is actually wrong, because I've actually added this image and I've done it, we've recorded it. So I will not be able to repeat myself on so many things. Whatever I do, and you know that at that point you don't understand it, you can't do it, please don't allow me cross or move over to something else. Drop your question. So here I'm going to create a div. I have a div. It's an empty div for now. Now this div, I'm going to give it a class name, and I'll call it box. It's called a box. Just box. So I will go to my CSS and call that box.box. I'll give it a width of 200 pixels. I'll give it a height of 200 pixels. And then I'll give it a background color. Background color, say green, and then save it. So I have a box here now, and I want to believe that you know how to add margin and padding to this box. If I want to move this box away from the edge of the screen, I can use margin left and say something like 30 pixels, that it's moving away from the edge of the screen. If I want to move it away from the text at the top, I'll say margin top, something like 50 pixels. Now it is down. So this is margin and padding. This box, I can equally turn it to a circle. Now, whenever the height and the width are equal, you can turn it to a circle. I will repeat, the only time where you can turn an object to a circle is when the height and the width are equal. Here, you see that the height, the width is 200 pixels and the height is 200 pixels. Now, if I want to turn this to a circle, I will do border radius 50%. 50% will turn it to a circle. Now, but if I change this to 250, it is no longer equal and it's no longer a perfect circle. But if I change this one to 250, it is going to be a perfect circle. So turning an image, whether it's an image, whether it's a div, whether it's a section, whatever it is, if it has equal width and equal height, putting a border radius of 50%, we turn it to a circle. Do we understand that? Any question? We have Eze, Joshua, Stanley. No girl is volunteering. The last cohort, a girl was a course rep and she's actually the best performing student. So no girl, but that's fine. So if you understand what I've done so far, please drop a thumbs up so that I can continue with something else. If you understand what I've done so far, please drop a thumbs up. Thank you. So I'll move on to something else. So what I'll do is I will comment this out and save it. You know what? On Command Z, let me first remove this. First remove this and then remove this so that I don't have an error. Save that. So I have this box. Now I'm going to change this box to box 1. You know what? I will use a section. Let me use a section. Now I will use a section. And I'll give the class name container. Let the class name be container. So I have a section with a class name container. I will create a div called box1, and then I will create another div called box2. So I have 2 divs inside one section. I have 2 div tags. Like I said, please don't drop your comment any other place. I will not see it. Please use only the question and answer topic. So I have 2 boxes that are inside here. Now, this is the time to understand the idea between the idea of parenting. So I will ask a question. What do you which tag do you think is the parent of box 2? Which tag do you think is the parent of box 2? This div that is box 2. Please drop your answer in the question and answer topic. Which tag do you think is the parent? So Ayodeji says section. Any other answer? Which tag is the parent of box 2? Section. Okay. Any other answer? Container. Container is also the section. That's right. Joshua says it's a div. Okay. All right. Now, my second question is, which tag do you think is the grandparent of this box 2? Which tag is the grandparent of box 2? Which tag is the grandparent? section. Stanley says section, which is the grandparent. Okay, Bisola, the body. Okay, the body. All right, thank you so much. Now, when it comes to the idea of parents, it's very important that you understand a parent and a child. If you look at this section here, this section is housing these two divs. Now, this div is not inside this div. And also, this box 2 is also not inside box 1. So, the two of them are on the same plane. So, you can consider the two of them as siblings because they are on the same plane. None is inside the other. They're on the same plane. But both of them are inside the section tag. Now, if you look at the section is housing the two div tags. So that makes the section the parent of these two tags. To confirm that, I can click on the arrow here to close the section. You see that it has actually closed the two div tags. It means that the two of them are the children of this section tag. Now, this section, I can open it. There is nothing inside. This section, I can equally open it, and there's also nothing inside. So the two of them are considered as siblings. They are not parent to anyone, but the section is a parent to the two of them. So I can close that one. Now, if I close it, now you see that the section is inside the body tag. Now, there is no other tag. Now, this section tag is a sibling to this image tag. And it's also a sibling to the H1 tag because the section is not inside any of them. They are on the same plane. They are on the same plane. But the section, all of them are inside the body tag. So that makes the body the parent tag to the section, and also makes the body the grandparent to these div tags. So if you must understand how to place images side by side or assign them CSS properties, you need to understand the idea between or behind parenting in HTML. What is wrong? I think my network is hanging again. All right, so let me get the network. Yes, I paused it because I thought I was having a network issue. I had to pause it, but we're back now. Back. So if you can hear me, please drop a thumbs up so that I know that you can hear me. If you can hear me, please drop a thumbs up so that I know you can hear me. All right. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let's continue. So the idea of parenting is very, very important. Now, this is what I will do. I will convert this div to a box, and also convert this div to also a box. So these are going to be two boxes from the class name. So I'll save this and I will use this class name for, you know what, let me leave that. So I'm going to create for box one, dot box one. Yes, Emmanuel, the class is being recorded, but let me confirm again. Yes, it's being recorded. Thank you. So I'll give it a width of say let's do 150 pixels. I'll do a height of 150 pixels. Now give it a background color of blue. Let's do blue and save that. So I have the first box. Now I'll do box 2. Because the class name, it needs to start with a dot, so I'll also give it a width of 150 pixels. I'll give it a height of 150 pixels, and then I'll give it a background color, let's say red, and save that. I'm sorry, that's supposed to be box 2. So I have two boxes here. Now the two of them are actually lying vertically. Now I want them to sit side by side to each other. So what I can do is add a feature to their parent. Now I can add a CSS property to their parent. Now here we've established that the parent is this section tag with the class name container. So we can add this container to display its children side by side. Now it is only the parent that can display the children side by side. You can't ask the children to sit side by side. You can only ask their parent to display the children side by side. And how do you do that? I'll call dot container and I'll say display flex. So display flex means display them side by side. Now that is what flex means when it comes to CSS. Now I can separate the two of them. Now if I want to separate these two boxes, what CSS property do I need to separate the two of them? What CSS property do I need to separate the two of them? Now, like I said, when it comes to coding, for everything you do, there are 3 different ways of doing it. So let's see if we can get the 3 different ways of separating these two boxes. Any answer, drop your answer in the question box. How do we separate these two boxes from one another? Somebody says padding. Okay. Any other answer? How do we justify contents, space between? And that's number 1 correct answer. So justify contents, space between on the parent. Justify content, space between on the parent is going to separate them. Now that is on the parent. That's the first answer. Any other answer? How do I separate them? Margin left on box 2. That is also correct. So if I go to box 2 and put margin left, maybe 20 pixels or anything, it's also going to separate them. What's the final one? I think there are 2 more, but let's take 1 more. Any other answer? How do I separate these 2 boxes from one another? How do I separate them? Okay, I can equally do margin right on this box with 30 pixels and it will also separate them like this. So these are the 3 ways of actually separating items that are seated side by side. Now, but that's not all. If I come to this container, which is the parent, and add a border here, say border of 2 pixels, solid and green, and save it. And you see that the border is there. Now I can actually separate these boxes not to touch the border. So what I can do is add padding on the inside. Padding is spacing on the inside, not the outside. Padding is spacing on the inside. So these boxes are touching the inside of the container. So what I can do is add padding to the container so that there will be a space on the inside. If I add space on the outside with margin, it will not work. But because I want space on the inside, I will use padding. So padding is spaces on the inside. So I can say padding for all around it. So padding all around means the left, the top, the right, and the bottom. This is how you add one command for padding all around. So now you see that we have two boxes inside one container, but we still have spaces left. Now these spaces left, we can add another container there if we want. I can just, you know what, I can copy this one and then still add it here and save it. Now you see that I have another box. I can use separate between margin left and right, anyone I want. But I don't want to add another box. Rather, what I want to do this time, I want to tell this red one to fill up the remaining spaces. So I can ask this red one to fill up the remaining spaces. So what I can do is this. I can come to the red one, which is this one, and say flex 1. So by adding flex 1, the red one is going to fill up the remaining spaces. So what is actually going on here is that first you will give a width to the first box. So this first one has a fixed width. Now when you add flex 1 to the remaining one, it will fill up the remaining spaces. So indirectly what is going on is that this red one will say, you know what, let me wait for this blue one to take up the space that have been assigned to it first. So it is going to take up the 150 pixels that is assigned to it first, and then whatever is remaining, the red one will fill it up with flex 1. So that's what's going on here. So the blue one will first take up the spaces that is assigned to it, and whatever is remaining, the red one will fill it all up. Now we can switch that and say, you know what, we don't want the red one to fill up the remaining spaces. We want the blue one to fill up the remaining spaces. Now to do that, you still add flex 1 to the blue one. Now what is going to happen is that the red one will first take up the spaces that is assigned to it, and then the blue one will take up the remaining spaces. So Olusheyi, this is what I mean. We have this here. We have two boxes like this blue box and this red box. The two of them are inside the parent, which is this border. This border is the parent, but there is more spaces remaining here. We want it to fill up this space. Now this space is here, we don't want it here. So you can either say let this red one fill up the remaining space, or let this blue one grow and fill up the remaining spaces. So anyone you want to fill up the remaining spaces, you go to that particular one and add flex 1. So if you say you want the blue one to fill up the remaining spaces, you add flex 1 to it. It will fill up the remaining spaces. Now, if you say you want the red one to fill up the remaining spaces, you go to the red one and add flex 1, and it will fill up the remaining spaces. So anyone that you add flex 1 to, that one will grow and fill up the remaining spaces. Now, a typical example of where this is used is maybe, let me go to If I go to conga.com, do we have anything to demo here? Yes, a perfect example is this. Now, these images are not appearing yet. They are not appearing yet. But if you look at them, you see that from this white place, to this white place is one section. But this section is divided into two here. This section is divided into two here. You have this right hand side that is further divided into four, and then you have this left hand side that is filling up the remaining spaces. So a typical example is the section that is containing these four items is given a fixed width and height. But this left hand side is given flex 1 to fill up the remaining spaces. So that is what we are doing in our own. Rather, in this our own, we are giving the right hand side, no, the left hand side a fixed width, and we're asking the right hand side to fill up the remaining spaces. So that is a typical example of how to use flex 1. Now, the second thing is you may want the two of them to share that spaces equally. You don't want one to be bigger than the other. You want the two of them to be equal in width. You want them to have to share the spaces equally. So that means you'll be adding flex 1 to the two of them. So if you add flex 1 to the two boxes will share the spaces equally. So if I come here and add flex 1 to the blue one, you see now that the two of them are sharing the spaces equally. That is what flex 1 will do. They will share it equally. And a typical example of this, let me see if we have something like that here. Now we don't have that, but we have it here. If you look at this thing, this boxes here, maybe this is done with grid, but you can actually achieve this with flex. Let's look for something else that might have been done with flex. Exactly here, looking at this image here and this image here, the two of them are in two separate boxes, and you see that they are sharing the spaces equally. So it means that this section and this part has flex 1. This part also has flex 1. So it is actually covering, they are sharing the spaces equally, like what is going on here. Two of them equally. So do you have any question on what I have done so far? Any question on what I have done so far? If there is no question, please drop a thumbs up. Any question on what I have done so far? No question? Okay, thank you so much. So that means it's actually clear and we can proceed. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to take this a step further. We don't want to be working with boxes and boxes and boxes. Let's work with something more real, but a little bit simplified. So here I can come down and create a new section, and I'll give it a class name of container 2, like this. So this is a new class, container 2. I will create a new div, and I'll call it what do I call it? Div 2. Yeah, div 2. This is called div 2. Now div 2 is going to have h1 with a little title. It's also going to have a paragraph with some lorem, let's say lorem 10. And it's also going to have a button of read more. Now this is inbox in div 2. So I'm going to create a new div still inside this place, and I'll call it div 4. So we have div 2 and div 4. So div 2 and div 4 are going to have the same content. This is also going to have a title. of course, I'm using lorem, and I want to believe you know what lorem is. So this will be lorem 30, and here I will have a button too to say read more, and I'll save it. So if you look at these items, they are sitting vertically, but we can make them sit horizontally if that is the goal. We can make them sit horizontally. Now, the first thing we want to do is to put a border around their parent. Now, okay, you know what I'll do is, let me first ask the first important question. Which container or what tag is the direct parent of this button? Which tag is the direct parent of this button here? Drop your answer in the question and answer topic. Which tag is the direct parent of this button here? Paragraphs, I disagree. Div with class div 2, okay, that is correct. Now, this tag is inside this div 4, not div 2 actually. But I think when I'm actually highlighting this one is also being highlighted. So that is why I think that's why you're saying div 2, but I'm actually highlighting this one at the bottom, not this one. But you're correct. Now, this button here, the direct parent is div 2. This button here, the direct parent is div 4. So it is important you understand the idea of parent. Now, if we want to talk about the grandparent of this button, what tag is the grandparent of this button? What tag is the grandparent of this button? Okay, Cynthia says section. Okay, I want to agree because this tag is inside the 4, which is the direct parent. The 4 is inside section container 2, which is the grandparent of this tag. So this is what I would say. I've noticed that when I'm teaching, sometimes I use some terms that make it look as if it is very simple, that you know what, you don't even need to pay attention, you catch it up. And that has made some persons feel like, oh, this assignment is going to be very, very simple, and they will skip it. Now, what I've understood so far is that when it comes to coding, as you are attending classes every day, you also experience it. As you're attending classes every day, you'll be waiting for when it will get difficult, but it will not get difficult. But if you make the mistake of skipping one or two things and you don't do it, like as I'm asking now, which one is the parent, which one is the grandparent, you are not participating. You feel like, oh, it's simple. The day that you will handle the project, say do this, it will be difficult for you to do, because what we are doing is we are learning this thing bit by bit. One day we are going to add all of them together and create something people should see. So at that point, all the basic knowledge you've had, you need to put all of them together and do something. So forget that I'm asking you which one is the parent, which one is the grandparent. That is me trying to make it simple and easier. But if you think it's too simple and you don't engage in it, well, just pray that it doesn't become difficult. But for those who are actually responding, you're doing well. When it comes to coding, there is no wrong or right answer. There is no wrong or right answer, so long as you are providing an answer. So none is wrong, none is actually correct. So, all right, thank you. So what we want to do is, first, we want to display these children inside their parent. Now we want to give the parent, this section, a border. So I will copy container 2 and I'll close this one, close this one, close this one. Now I'm coming to container 2 Now for container 2, I want to give it a border of 2 pixels solid, and I'll give it a color of what color should I give it? What color should I give it? Give it blue. Now you see that the first section and the second section are touching each other. What do I need to do to separate the two of them? The first section and the second section are touching each other. What should I do to separate the two of them? Drop your answer in the question and answer topic. Now, the two sections are touching each other. What do you think I need to do to separate them? From our design, they are touching each other. How do I separate them? How do I separate them? Margin on the parent. Margin what? Is it margin left? Is it margin right? Is it bottom? Is it top? And on what parent? On what parent? Is it margin left, margin right, and on what parent? We have the first parent, which is container. We have the second parent, which is container 2. So the two sections, they are called container. One is container, the other one is container 2. They are, both of them are parents. So which parent are we adding the margin? And what type of margin are we adding in order to separate these two sections from touching here? Yes, Ayodeji. Okay. Oh, sorry. Actually, you're dropping answer. So somebody say margin top, margin top. Yes, margin top will work. Margin left will not work. Margin top will work on container 2. Yes, margin top will work on container 2. Yes, container 2, margin top. Yes, that will work. But I can decide to go a different route and add margin bottom to container 1 and give it 20 pixels. That will also work. So whether you put it here or you put it here, it's very important to know the property you are adding. Like I said, there are at least a minimum of 3 ways of doing anything. So just because I don't do it away doesn't mean it's not correct. So margin top will work on container 2, whereas margin bottom will also work on container 1. So that is done. Now these items are touching this border, and I don't want that. So what I can do is do exactly what I did here by adding padding, spacing on the inside. Yeah, by adding padding, spacing on the inside. So I can do padding all around. Let me go with 15 pixels all around. So now they are not touching each other. So what I can do is actually make it a little bigger here. So let's make it a little bigger like this and keep this here. You know what? Keep this, take this like this here. Yeah, so now I want to display these items in border for themselves also. So what I can before displaying in border, I can actually know what display them in border first, so that we know which one is which one. Now this is div 2. I'll give div 2 a border. That's the first thing I want to do. Div 2. I'll give it a border of 2 pixels, solid, and blue. Save that. So now this div 2 is in border, which is this. You're seeing div 2 there. I will do the same thing for div 4. Copy it and come to div 4, paste it, and also add a border there. A border 2 pixels, solid, and blue. Not blue violet, but blue. Save that. So now you see that the two of them are in borders. Now, although they are touching each other, that is not the goal at this point. Now, if your goal is to keep them vertically, then you have achieved your goal. Now, the next thing I want to do is the items. You know what? Let me leave that first. I want to display these two things, these two items side by side. So I need to come to their parents. Now, if you want to display side by side, you need to come to the parent and tell the parent to display his children side by side. So I will come here and say display flex and save that. So now they are displayed side by side. Now the reason why this one is bigger is because somewhere here we have box 2, right? This one is called D4. Why? Okay, yeah. I think the reason why it's bigger is because of the number of text, but we can adjust that. And where is the button? I can't find the button. There's supposed to be a button here. Control Z. Yeah, save that. Yeah, there's supposed to be a button here. So another thing I can do is say, I don't want this individual text touching the border of these things. That's the first thing. I don't want the border of this text touching the border. That's the first thing. The second thing is I want to demarcate or differentiate these two borders here. I don't want the two of them touching each other. So if you do margin right here, it will work. If you do margin left here, it will also work. Now the two of them will also work. So, and also if you do display content space between, so if you come here and say what's it called again? Align items or justify content. Let's do justify content. Justify content space between. That will also separate the two of them, but you need to assign a width to the main parent and say let the width be maybe 100% and save that. That's actually clashing. Are you sure? I'm working on container 2. Okay. Padding, width, display flex. So I think one of my classes is actually, this is box 1, box 2. Okay. I think one of my CSS class is actually clashing. It could also mean this numbering I gave here, but that's not it. Okay. Well, fine. Let's continue, and I'll figure out this one later. But for now, I can decide to use the margin left on this side and go with 30. And yeah, but I think it worked the other time, but just that I had my screen size smaller. I think so because of the size of the screen. So that's the first thing achieved. 30 is too big. Let's go with 10. Is 10 okay? Yeah, 10 is fine. Now the next thing I want to do is for each of them, I don't want the text touching the border. Now I can go with padding all around, but because of the size of the screen is not too big, I want to know why one is bigger than the other. I think it's coming from our class name. So let's debug this. This has 12, 30. This has 20. So let's try giving the two of them the same amount of content. Okay, we'll start with the same amount of content. Yeah, exactly. So the content size is actually what was making them one bigger, one smaller, but achieving that now is fine. Now we've achieved this. What I want to do next is the spacing on the inside. Yes, you can apply flex 1 to each one if that is what you want. You can make one bigger. You can make the two of them share the sizes equally, however you want. Now, but in my own case, I haven't applied Flex 1 yet, but one was bigger, and that is because the content in it was actually bigger than the other one. So that was the error. So I can go with the padding. The first thing is here. I will just use padding all around. 10 pixels padding all around. I will also add the same padding here. Padding all around 10 pixels and save that. So here my text this is looking kind of cool to me. Now I like using border so that in this stage of your coding, now that is for when I want to teach front end. I'm actually now when I want to teach front end, I like using border so that at this stage of your coding, you can see where each one starts and ends. You can see the full width, you can see the size and the length, so you know where each one starts and ends. But after now, you will remove all the whole borders. You'll not be working with border again, but it's actually good we work with borders so that you see how to align them and how they work. So that is it. Now you can decide to make this one smaller by giving this one flex 1 and giving this one a fixed width. You can decide to make this one a fixed width and ask this one on the left to have a full border. You can customize them further, like each item. I want to believe you also know that I can call this H1 that is inside div2, like this. I can say dot div2 H1. So whatever style I'm adding here will only apply to a H1 that is inside a tag that has a class name div2. Any other H1 will not respond. The only H1 that will respond is the only one that is inside here. So I can do this and say let the color of this be how do I call it, blue. Save that. Now the H1 here is blue, this one is not blue. Now I can go here and say dot div4 and button. Now this is me talking to the button, only the button that is inside a tag name with the section with the class name dot div4. So any other button will not respond, only the button that is inside here. So I can say something like background color transparent. Save that. It is transparent. I can remove the border and say border none. Save that. The border is gone. Now I can give it a background color now of blue, and then save that, and that's there. I can change the color of the text inside to be white and save that is white. Now I can increase the height and the width. Let's say the width, I want to make it 100 pixels. 100 might be too small. I can make it 200. That's fine. I can increase the height to maybe 40 pixels. 40 is okay by me. And then I can round the edges with border radius. Give it 7 pixels to round the edges. So this is me just being creative. Now you can do whatever you want to this. You can add stylings, whatever you want to do. You can also add background colors if you want. But that will mean that we are going deeper into CSS. So looking at the screen and what I have done so far, do you have any question? Looking at the screen and what I have done so far, do you have any question? Now you can replace and you can add an image inside these things if you want. You can add an image inside it. You can also add an image by the side if you want. However you want it, you can go deeper however you want. But let's just hear from you. Do you have any question on what we have done so far? No questions? Okay. Yes, it is very, very possible to add 3 divs. What I can do is just duplicate this one, copy, and then still paste it in the same section. Now we have 3 divs. So if I do like this, you have 3 divs in the section. You can add, depending on what you are building, how you want it to look like, you can add multiple divs. There is no limit. But if you add too much divs, the screen size will be very, very small. So whatever you want, however you want. Yes, you can add multiple divs and give each one flex one so that the 3 of them will share the spaces equally. You can do that. Yes, you can. Any other question, please, before we move on to something else? Any other question? Any other question? If there is no question, please drop a thumbs up so that we can continue. Why did you set the background color to transparent and also blue? That is my design. Now, by default, if I remove these background colors, you see that it actually comes with a gray background color. So button comes with a gray background color. Now I can actually leave it and then change the background color to blue. The reason why I first changed it to transparent was because I didn't know I was going to give it blue. So I just first removed it before the thought of changing it to blue came in. So, you know, this is, I'm just doing it from, will I say, top of my hand, I'll be from the tip of my finger. I don't know the word to use, but it's not like I know what I'm doing. The thoughts just coming to me and I'm doing it. So I wasn't supposed to do the 2 of them at the same time, but I had to first remove the transparent color, the background color, before I then said, okay, let me just give it background color. So you must not do the 2 of them, but if you do the 2 of them, nothing is also wrong. It's not wrong. So, but by default, it comes with a gray background color, which is this. So what I did was, I didn't like the color, I removed it. So you can do whatever you want. Yes. So any other question before we proceed? If there is no question, please drop a thumbs up so that we can continue. Any other question? Any other question? If there is no question, please drop a thumbs up so that we can continue. And what is his name? Real one. I had a friend in the north. I think that was during the time when I was also learning my coding. Real one was nice to me. He's a real guy. So and then since then, anybody that bears the name Real One, I like Real One. His name was Danjuma Real One. So I like Real Ones. Yeah, all right, let's continue to something else. Now we want to talk about the navigation on the website. We've built navigation, but we didn't actually make it cool. So let's build a navigation and make it very cool. So we're going to add navigation at the top of the browser. So at the top here, I will add a nav. Inside the nav, I'm going to create a container for the logo, and the logo will have an image tag. For now, I'll leave that empty. So I have a container that will contain the logo. I will create my URL on this side. So the URL is going to have LIs. The first one will be the home, and the second LI is going to be about us. The third LI is going to be services. Sorry, not DS services. Then the fourth one is going to be contact us. Now, these things are supposed to come with anchor tags. That way, when you click on them, you move to the next page. But I'm not using any anchor tag here because I'm just working on the design of the nav bar, not the functionality this time, but just the design. We've talked about the functionalities. We've also recorded video. I think we have a recorded video on the functionality too. But we just want to design it so that it will look nice. That's what we have here. So the first thing I want to do is let me find a logo. I will find a logo. Let me just find a logo, the PNG logo that is fine. This is Instagram. I'm going to copy the Instagram link, come back here and paste it in my source and save that. So the alt name, I will call it Instagram logo and save that. So I will come back here. I have my Instagram logo is not showing. No, why? This logo is not showing, so it means I don't have access to that image. Let me get another image. No, let me click on this, copy link, and then replace this one, V, and save. So if I come here, do I have a logo? Do I have a logo? The logo is not appearing. So what I can do is just to download the logo. I don't want to download it, but let's go ahead and download the logo. I will save this image to my downloads. I'll save it. Now it is on my downloads. I'll open it up, drag it, and drop it in my project directory here. So I'll drag this image. Sorry. Drag. Are you serious right now? Drag it and drop it here. The reason why I'm doing this is because I wasn't showing when I used the link. So here, instead of this link now, I'll remove it and use / images, and I think this is the name of the image. Save it. Yeah, so this is my logo and I want to display them. Now the first thing I want to do is add a border around the nav so that you see the nav where it starts and where it ends. So I will call the nav. The reason why I'm calling nav directly is because in this HTML file, there is no other nav tag. That is why I'm not giving it a class name. I'm calling it directly with the tag name nav. So I'll give it a border, 2 pixels, solid green, and save. So this is my nav. Now my nav is touching with the section. So what I can do is give the nav a margin bottom of 70 pixels so that the nav will not be touching the other section. Then the next thing I want to do is to ask the nav to display its children side by side. Now looking at this thing, looking at this nav here, if I ask you which one is the parent and the grandparent of the allies, looking at this nav, your answer should be yes or no. I want to ask you a question that your answer should be yes or no. So if I ask you which tag is the parent and the grandparent of the ally tags, do you know it? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the answer question tag. Yes, 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 yes. All right. Thank you so much. Yes, 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 yes. You know, sometimes, like I say, my class is going to be very simple. I like to simplify it, but don't miss the class. When you miss the class and you ask us to come back and repeat, we may not come back and repeat again. So please follow us as we are going gradually. It might be simple, it might look like a dummy, but let's learn it that way. So what we are going to do is ask the parent, which is the nav, to display each children side by side. That is to display flex, and save it. Now, but another thing is, if you look at this logo, is actually touching the border. Now let's round up with that by giving a padding all around. Now we can decide to go with the padding, we can decide not to go with the padding. Anyone is your choice. Anyone you do, you're correct. So, but I'll go with a padding of 5 pixels so that it will not be too obvious. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is, some persons will be asking, why did I put an image inside a div tag? Now, professionally, when it comes to building front end, professionally, it is very good that you put an image inside a div tag. That way, you will use the div to control the size of the image. Now, you know, sometimes you can see images looking blurry. It may not look quality. The quality of the image might have been distorted. It may not look exactly like the way it was designed. That is because you are adding the size and the width directly on the image. Instead of to carve out a container for the image and add those features to the image. So what I can do is, instead of adding size and width to the image, I will just add it inside this container. So I will say nav.logo. So by this, I am referring to the class name logo that is inside a nav. Any other thing will not respond. So this is the logo that is inside a nav. Now I can give it a width of 50 pixels, give it a height of 50 pixels. Now sometimes when you do this, the image will not respond. What you want to do is then call the image. You call the image and you say nav.logo img, and you give it a width of 100%. 100% means the image will appear exactly the way it is designed, the same size, the same quality, nothing will be removed from it. That is why we are giving it a width of 100%. But we are using the container to control the size of the image, to reduce the size or maybe increase it, but not directly on the image. So that's the professional way of doing it. Now, even though we are not front-end developers, there's some things we should do professionally. All right, now the image is seated there, is fine. This one is not fine. Now, what we need to do is come to this div and ask it to display its children side by side. Now, you can go with inline, like we learned in the last week class. You can go with inline, but since we are doing flex already, we can just call the nav and then call the UL and tell the UL to display its children side by side, and that will be all. So I'll say nav UL display flex, which is side by side, and save it. So that is done. It displayed side by side. The next thing is I want to remove the list style. No, the list style is the border on it. That is done. I want to justify content. Now you can use margin right and left if you want. Margin right on the LIs or margin left on the LIs, you can do that. But I can justify content, space around, and save it. But this will not work. You need to add a width to it. So I can give it a width of 70%. Okay, that's justified, but it's too big. I can reduce the width to 50%. That's fine by me. All right, so first thing achieved, not so much. Next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that the sizes are big, as in the font size. So I will say the LIs that are inside the UL, that is inside the nav, increase the font size to maybe 20 pixels. So the font size is okay. I want to make it bold. Font weight, give it a font weight of 600, and that's bold. Now the font family, I want to change the font family to something like Arial. Now this, I was going to explain what this thing means before. This font family here is actually using 3 font family. So what that means is, by default, this first one is the font that we are actually using. But if the user is using a device that does not have this font, it means it should fall back to this font. Now, if the user also doesn't have this font in their device, automatically this should be the fallback font. So that is why you see 3 font sizes here. It doesn't mean you must add the 3 of them. We are actually using this one. But if my device doesn't have this, it will fall back to this. If my device also doesn't have this, then it will fall back to this. So I was going to explain this last week, but I skipped it. So that's for font sizes, and if I save that, I have my font looking like this. Justify content for Abdul. Justify content is you are adding that on the parent to actually justify its content. I don't think there's anything like justify items. Justify items will be like now sometimes justify item doesn't control it. It doesn't, because it's more working on, how do I put it? You know what? Let's try it on the nav, and then maybe if that will help me. But justify content is actually telling the parent what to do with the content inside it. Where is my nav? Here. I want to actually justify. Now, when you say justify items, okay, now you can move the whole items, everything together. You can move everything together. Say you want to move it to the start of it, to the left of it. What's the perfect way? I'm looking for the perfect way to actually explain this. Why is it not bringing this thing? Justify items. So now you can move the whole items together. See, most times what we do is we can say let all of these items, all of them as one, move to the start. They will stay here. Or all of them together as one move to the ending. They will stay here. But if this thing is vertically, you can say let it be here or be. So you are moving all the items together as one. Justifying the items together as one. I think so. I think that's the best way now. But when it comes to content, you are treating all the items there individually. So if you look at this thing here now, if I come to my HTML, you see that these are children here. So if you do justify content, you are looking at them separately as children, 2 different things. If you say justify them as an items, they're looking at together as one. You're looking at the children, all of them as one. I think we can do that by saying justify items start and save, but we have actually added a width to this one, so it may not. If you take away that width, was there any other thing we've added that is going to? I think we've actually we've flexed with okay, no, justify item. This is not my Windows. Flex start. It's not responding. I think I have added a feature that is not allowing them move to the start or move to the end, but that's just moving them to the end of the parent or to the start of the parent or at the bottom of the parent or at the top of the parent. So that's like another CSS functionality, depending on how you want to arrange the whole items together as one. You're looking at them as one. But when you go with justify content, now you're looking at them separately as children. justify content, where you say, okay, put space between the parents, put space between the children, or put space around the children, or put spaces evenly the children, like that. I think that's a better explanation for what's the difference between the two of them. But the idea is, if you try one, it doesn't work, you try the other one. Just depending on what you're working on. If you try this one, it doesn't work for you, you try the other one. And I think I have actually removed this width. Sorry. This width. Yeah, save that. Is there another thing I removed? No, that's all. So we have ourselves a nav. I can actually increase the size of this to 60%. Yeah, 60 is fine. So, and I didn't actually work on hover, because you can actually hover over anything. Say nav UL li hover. If I hover over it, I want the color to change to blue. So hover effect means if I put the cursor on top of it, what do I want? That's what hover means. So if I put my cursor on the li, you see the li is changing to blue. So I can actually change the cursor to be pointer. So instead of that, now I have a pointing finger like this. So for hover, you can do anything. You can say, let it have a border on hover. Let it, whatever you want to do when you hover over it. It can have a border. You can change the text to something different. You can change the background. You can give it a background color. You can do anything on hover. Now, not just on LIs. You can equally do it on buttons. So, for example, this button we have here, where did I do that button? Here. So I have this button. I can come here and call this button and then add hover effect to this button. So adding a hover effect to this button, I can say on hover, let the background color become transparent. Background color transparent on hover. So if I hover over it, it's going to be transparent. You see, when I hover, but then if it hovers and it becomes transparent, I want the color of the text to be blue. I want the color of the text to be blue. So if I hover now, the color of the text is blue. But then I also want it to have a border with a 2 pixels width, a solid style, and a color of blue. Now these are just what I'm doing on the go. Now when you think about it, you can come up with whatever you want. So you can add hover effect to anything. Now the same way we are adding here and here. Now, and if you look at it too, with this, you know that building a website is not really difficult so long as you understand how to lay out the website. All right, looking at this, any question on what we have done so far? Do you have any question looking at the screen? Do you have any question on what we have done? Looking at the screen, is there any question? Or should I ask my own question? Looking at this screen, do you have? Nobody saying anything. Can anybody hear me? Today we are just 20. Where are the rest? We're supposed to be, what is our number? All right, sorry, Joshua. We're supposed to be, how many of us are in this class? Okay, I can't see it. Yeah, let me move here. We're supposed to be 99 members. Where are the rest? Okay. Are you kidding me right now? Yeah, it was supposed to be 99, but the issue I have now is that the other ones are going to join when the class becomes interesting and they start asking you, sir, can we go back to this? I don't understand this. I don't understand that. But we're fine. How do we make the site responsive? Now, Emmanuel, now making the site responsive is not really your job because we are not going to that part. But if you want to, you can go to that part with media queries. So what I can say is I can find media queries breakpoints. Media queries breakpoints. Now, media query breakpoints are what screen size and what you want to display. So when it comes to building a website, bear in mind that you are building a website. A website is like 3-in-1. You're building a website for a big screen, which is like the laptop and the desktop. That's the big screen. You're building a laptop, a website for a medium screen, which is like tablet, and then the other one is you're building a small screen, which is for mobile phones. Now, sometimes the CSS that will work very well on the big screen, that CSS will not work very well on a small screen. So sometimes you write the CSS for the small screen separately, you write the CSS for the big screen separately, and you write the CSS for what is it called? A big screen separately. For example, here, if I reduce the size of this thing, now this thing here is not good like this on mobile. So it means that on small screen, you're not supposed to display these items flex. They should be vertical, one on top another. Now this one, you can choose to leave them like this, but it's not supposed to be. It should be vertical. Let me just get the media queries. Let me just, so that I can show you what I am referring to. Now, even though that's not, yeah, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I think that's actually the biggest work when it comes to, one of the biggest work when it comes to front end. Media query breakpoints. You are writing, not like you are going to write entirely new CSS, but sometimes some CSS you write, for example, here, I can go with this media query here. So I've copied that first breakpoint. So I can come in here and add a breakpoint. So this breakpoint is going to be for screen sizes that their max width is 600 pixels. So I will just reduce this from 600 to 400 because that's mostly the screen size for mobile phones. Between 350 for Apple phones and then 400 and something for Android phones. So I'll just keep it at a medium of 400. Now at 400, if the screen size is 400, whatever CSS you write inside here is going to work on only for those screen sizes. Now I can say here the body, I want the body of these screen sizes to have a background color of red and save it. Now you see that my screen is not changing to background color of red. Why? Because the screen size is actually greater than 400. Here we are specifying that the screen size has to be a maximum of 400. So it means 400 downward, from 400 to 300 to 200 to 100. The max width is for 400. So I can actually demo that by inspecting. If I inspect, and then you should see that, I don't know if you can see, if you look at this part, you see that the width is increasing. So you see it's actually 444, 490, 500. So if you can see that, you see the screen size. So but if I reduce it to anywhere around the breakpoint, so this is 400 now, that is when this CSS is applying. But if it increases more than that, the CSS will not apply there. So this is what we make how we make the screen size responsive. So at this point now, we don't want to display this flex. So what we can do is what is the name of this? This is the what? Sorry. This is what's the name of that container? Container 2. So I'll call container 2 here, and I want to change something in container 2. I can say container 2 when the screen size is this. I want you to display flex since you already displayed flex, but now the flex direction, let the flex direction be column. Now I don't want it a row, I want the direction in column. So this is dot, put dot. So if you look at it now, it has changed. It is no longer side by side, but it is seated one on top another. So this is how you make it responsive. When you build your normal screen, you also build for smaller screen, you also build for tablet screen, and so on and so forth. So that's for front end, but I don't think we have to concern ourselves with that because that's the job of the front end. All right, so any other question before we move on to something else? Don't worry, I'm going to share these codes with you. You're going to have this code that I have here, and then whatever it is that you want to see for yourself, you can see that. But any other question before we move on to something else? If there is no question, please drop a thumbs up. Any question so far? If there is no question, I will ask you myself. Who do I want to ask? Who do I want to ask? Who will I ask? Who will I ask? Who will I ask? If you don't ask a question, I will call you by your names to be sure you understand what I just did. Who do I want to ask? Who do I want to ask? Who do I want to ask? Dennis. Dennis, do you understand what we have said so far? Dennis, please unmute yourself and respond. Do you understand what we have done so far?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? I will call you by your names. Rema is following. Is Riwan following? I don't know. Riwan, do you understand what we have done so far? Riwan, please unmute yourself and tell us, do you understand what we have done so far? Riwan, are you there? Please unmute yourself and tell us. Now, in this class, everybody talks. Although I don't give opportunity for people to talk at the beginning of the class, but you will always get the opportunity to talk. Everybody talks. Everybody is actually a class rep. You must talk. Where is Riwan? Riwan, please, we are not going to proceed until you unmute your mic and tell us, do you understand what we have done so far? Real one. Yes, yes, yes. We are going to Git and GitHub, Emmanuel. We're going to. Where is Riwan? Are you in this class? Riwan, we are not proceeding until you unmute your mic and tell us. Do you have network error? You can type it and we'll know that you have a network error. While we are waiting for Real One, Walter, do you understand what we have done so far? Walter, Ebuka, please unmute yourself and tell us, do you understand?
Yes, sir. I'm okay, sir.
All right, thank you. Riwan, we are still waiting for you. Please unmute yourself and tell us who else. Sunday Thomas, do you understand what we have done so far?
Yes, sir.
Sunday Thomas, please unmute yourself and tell us, do you understand what we've done so far? Sunday, yes, we are waiting for you. You understand, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Who else? Riwan, we are still waiting for you. Cynthia, do you understand what we have done so far? Cynthia, are you there? Okay, I actually unmuted Juliana. Cynthia, I was supposed to. Yes, Cynthia, go ahead. Do you understand what we've done so far, Cynthia? Unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Cynthia,
Yes, sir, I
are you there? I
understand.
can't hear you.
Yes, I'm here.
All right,
I'm
so it
speaking.
looks like Rewan is now with us. Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you. So it looks like Rewan is now with us. So we're going to proceed to something else. Now we want to move on to Git and GitHub. The reason why I left this before now is I wanted to get comfortable with VS Code. What is wrong with my network again? I'm seeing connecting. Am I sure? If you can hear me, please drop a thumbs up so that I know you can hear me. If you can hear me, please drop a thumbs up so I know that you can hear me. All right, thank you. So, Git and GitHub. Now, a lot of you are going to be developers full time. You may work in a company, you may work as freelancers, you may work however you want to work. But it is very, very important that you understand how to use Git and GitHub. There is no developer without Git and GitHub. Now, as a matter of fact, some recruiters like me, if I'm called to recruit for any company, which I do most times, I just ask you for your GitHub account. Your GitHub account will tell me whether you're a good developer or not. So why am I saying this? We're not just learning Git because we want to learn Git. If you are going to be a good developer and you will get jobs, then you must be very good with Git. What are the reasons? Number one, the first thing is collaboration. Now, you are going to be sharing your codes with project developers, your CTOs, your project leads, all of them. You will not share your codes with USB or transfer it via WhatsApp. No, you'll be sharing it. You know what? Let me just open GitHub directly so that we can be seeing GitHub. So everybody needs to go to github.com. Let me just copy the URL, github.com, and create an account. That is, if you don't have an account already, go to github.com and create an account. Now, I have an account. You should also have an account. Number one, it allows you to collaborate with other developers to share codes. You see the code that they are working on. They also see what you are working on and how you are working on it. That's what. Number two, you get to see resources. Whatever you are learning, a lot of persons have actually learned it and they put it out on the GitHub community. So you have access to codes. When I was building my first project ever, I had nobody to ask questions. What I did was go to GitHub and search for codes that are related to what I was building. For example, if I want to build real estate, here is real estate, I'll click enter and it's going to bring out all the codes people have written and is open for real estate. Now look at it here. This is a Django project. This is a JavaScript project. I can say I want the ones that are built with HTML and I'll click on it. Now, if you look at it, this is actually built with HTML, Laravel, and responsive HTML. This is built with HTML and I can open it if I want. I can click on it, open it to see if it's actually HTML. So this is HTML and if I open it up, so this is HTML here, and it's a project that somebody built. It looks like a complete project, or this is an about page. So it's like a one-page website. This is the services page, and it's complete. So you get to see codes that people have written, you have access to it, and you can use it to learn and build your own project, because most times you don't have people to ask questions. How do I want to build this project? So you come here, you find codes that people have written, you learn how to build. Number two, people don't consider you good except you have a GitHub profile. What do I mean by that? Now, looking at these things here, this green things tells me that you have been writing codes. In July last year, I wrote codes. In August, I wrote codes. In September, I wrote codes. October, November. So it means December, January, February. Now, February, March, April. In April and May, I didn't write much code like that. But in June and July, I am writing much code. So it means that May was my break. And April, May was actually my break. And then February, I had a break. So this thing would tell a recruiter how you are doing when it comes to writing codes. So that way, if you know, sometimes when they want to hire you, they will say, send me your CV, send me your resume, send me your portfolio. But as developers, most times, you just send them your GitHub link. Most times. Now, that does a lot of things for you as a developer. All right, sorry, Rewan, we were not hearing you, sorry. So it does a lot of things for you as a developer, meaning that some persons who are hiring you are not really tech savvy. Yeah, a lot of people who write these job openings, they are HRs. They are not developers. They don't know how to write codes. So the moment you share them your GitHub codes and they come here, they say this guy is too much. Oh, this guy is a baba. This guy is baba like this. And then they go ahead and just click on your repositories and then see all the codes you've been working on. They say, no. We have to hire this person. This person knows what he's doing, even though you don't know what you're doing. But I'm not saying you don't know what you're doing. All of you know what you're doing. So that's what GitHub helps you to achieve. So, but for now, what we are going to be using GitHub to do is to share our codes and to submit assignments. I'll repeat that again. For now, what we are going to be using GitHub to do is to share our codes and to submit assignments. Meaning, like I said I'm going to share these codes with you. So this means I'm going to upload this code to GitHub and share the link to all of you. You have access to the codes. Now you can download the code if you want. You can visit it at any time you want. Like that. Now, if you want to also share your own codes with me, you will need to push it to GitHub and share me the link. So that way I can go there, access the code. If I want to comment on anything about your code, I can drop a comment there on anything. And finally, for assignment, when we say submit assignment, you are not going to be uploading the file to Google Classroom. You're not going to be uploading the file to Google Drive. Rather, you will push your code to GitHub and submit the link only. Do you understand, or do I have to explain that again? Do you understand, or do I have to explain that again? All right. So how do we use GitHub? How do we use, oh my God, Cynthia, I was thinking about giving you assistant cost rep. This one you're doing like this. Okay, let's go ahead. I'll start the GitHub again. So I'll open github.com. Now, when you create a GitHub account and you log in, this is where it will bring you to. Now, these persons here are people that I am following on GitHub. These persons, I'm following them on GitHub. So whatever they are doing on GitHub, I get to see it. Now, this person is talking about Flutter interview. This one is talking about installation script. This is talking about personalized AI, and so on and so forth. React Native fitness, and so on and so forth. Now, you may not see this because these are the repositories and projects I've worked on. Here, these are the projects I've worked on, repositories I've worked on, like that. And here is your profile. You get to see your profile. The most important thing here is this button, new, and this plus button that creates a new repository. So the two of them are doing the same thing. The two of them are doing the same thing. Now, what is a repository? A repository simply means a folder. So GitHub doesn't call it folder. GitHub calls it repo or repository. That's what it means. So when you hear create a new repository on GitHub, we are simply saying create a folder on GitHub where you upload your files. That's what we are simply saying. So this is new repository. This is also new repository. That's the most important thing. The two of them are doing the same thing. So anyone you click is fine. Now, if you click on it, here you get to see your profile. You see your repositories. Now, repositories are all the codes you have written so far. Here, a list of all the codes you have written so far. So when you create a new repository, it will actually appear here of codes you have written so far. So what I want to do is create a new repository and show you how to share codes. Do we understand? Do we understand? All right. So what I want to do now is GitHub is not hard. All you need to do is just create an account. Once you create an account and log in, forget any other thing. Now, if you like, you can add your image. If you like, don't add your image. That's fine. The most important thing is creating a new repository. So if you click on to create a new repository, it will bring you here. So it will bring you here. The first thing is to give the folder a name. So I will call it CSS like this. So that's the first thing you need to do. Give the repository a name. Give it a name. Now, when you give it a name, the second thing is you can decide to write a description about the project if you want, but it's actually optional. You can choose to put descriptions if you want, or you leave it. Now, the second thing is this important part. Do you want to make it public or do you want to make it private? So public or private are two different things. If your intention is to share it as an assignment or to share it with anybody, then it must be on public. Now, as a matter of fact, let all your repos be public. Why? Because recruiters who will be asking you for your GitHub account, they want to come to your GitHub profile and see the code that you have written before. But if you keep them on private, they will come there and they will not see anything. So for now that you are still learning and you are working, keep all your repositories as public, except you are being paid to write that code. Then it must be on private. But if you are not being paid to write that code, then keep it on public, so that with that public codes, people get to see what you are doing and they get to offer you jobs. But if they have paid you for it, please don't put it on public so that you will not end up in kri-kri, because people who pay you for projects, they will give you NDA forms to write, non-disclosure agreement to sign. Once you sign it, it means whatever you are doing is their property and you have no right to put it on public domain. So it must be on private. You must keep it on private. So for now, let all your repos be on public. Keep everything public. Now, once you keep public, that is all you need to do. You need to just go ahead and create the repository like this. So any question on how to create repository? Before I hit the create button, Any question on how to create a repository? Creating a repository, if you see that green button, you can just click on it, or you click on this plus sign and you click repository, it will bring you here. No question. All right, Cynthia is now responding very well because I said I want to give her assistant class rep. That is awesome. That is awesome. I'm going to look for another person and tell the person I want to give you assistant class rep, and they're going to be up and doing. All right. All right. So no question on creating a public repo. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and click on this to create. So I'll click on that and it is creating. So it has created for me. Now, this is the part where we know who is a developer and who is not a developer. All of these commands are very, very important. But for now, I'm not going to teach you this because it's going to confuse you. But I'm going to definitely visit this again on a very good day. You and I will sit down and we're going to dissect these things one by one. But for now, we will skip these git commands. Now, these git commands are very, very important if you are going to be working in a company or with any other developer. This is very important. So, which is why I don't want to rush it now. I will not rush it now. So, what do I want to teach you? I want to teach you the idea of drag and drop. Drag the folder and drop it and submit your assignment. Drag the folder and drop it and submit your assignment. How do you do that? You click on this upload an existing file. So this here I said upload an existing file. So you click on it and you drag all the files you've created and you drop them here. So if I click on upload an existing file, I've clicked on it, it's going to open this place here. So it says drag the files and drop them here. So where are my files? I'm going to open my files. They are inside here, and it is cohort 2 and it's CSS 2. So I will highlight all of them, drag them, and drop them here. So that is the easiest way to push any code to GitHub. The easiest way. You just drag all of them one by one if you want, or you select them one by one, drag them here. But the most important thing is you must create this repo and you click on upload an existing file. That's the only time it will work. Upload an existing file. So I will click on it. It will ask me to drag and drop my files. So I will go back again and find my files. They are here. I will drag them one by one if you want. You can also drag all of them together at the same time. But I'll drag them one by one. Now be sure that you are seeing them uploaded like this. So you see they are being uploaded. They have been uploaded. The final thing is to click save. Now this commit changes means save. You can choose to write anything here as a message if you want, but if you don't have any message, you leave it and click this commit changes. So clicking on commit changes, your code has been pushed to GitHub. That is all you need to do to push your code to GitHub. Now, how do you share this code? The first way is to copy this URL that is here, copy it and send to anybody, maybe as your assignment or anything. That's the first way. The second way is to click on code and copy this URL here. They are the same thing. The two of them are the same thing. The two URL are the same. So what you need to do is either copy this URL here or copy this URL here. They're both the same thing. Now, let's assume that you shared your code with anybody or with me. how do I download the codes or how do I view the code? So let's assume this is from you. I will click on it. It's going to open my browser. Now it is opening up in my browser. I have it here. You see the image folder, you see the index CSS, you see my HTML file. So I can click here and come to download it as a zip file. Now, another way is to clone it, but I'm not moving into that command yet. But you can clone it, and it's very easy to clone. So long as you have a terminal open, it's easy to clone. But the easiest way is to download it as a zip file and unzip it. Now, but you don't have to download it. You can actually click here and read the codes if you want. You can click here and read the codes directly here if you want, which is exactly what I will be doing for most of your assignment. I will just read the codes on GitHub directly. And you can also run this code. This code here is on my browser. You can open it up on VS Code. You just need to change this .com that is on GitHub and change it to .dev. If I change it to .dev, it's going to open the whole code in VS Code as if it is my VS Code, but it's not my VS Code. It's a GitHub VS Code, so it will open like that, and I can also read the codes there if I want. So that's it's not opening up on. Okay, it's opening up now. Yes, I need to sign in, but I don't want to sign in. As you downloaded, Cynthia, I want to understand what you mean. Please use the mic so that I know what you are talking about. Cynthia, use the mic. Please tell us, as you downloaded it on GitHub, can you debug the code there? I want to understand.
Okay, so what I'm asking is that, okay, just as you said that this is what you're going to be doing with our assignment. Let's say, for example, now that I wanted you to help me out with a project and I sent it to you for you to help me out. So I now sent it to you. As you downloaded it on that GitHub, can you make some correction for me on my code that I sent to you?
Yes,
So that
you
is my
need to
question.
add me as a contributor, meaning what I mean is you go to settings here. This is settings. You click on settings and you add me as a collaborator. Of course, you need to put in your password and sign in. So when you add me as a collaborator, the two of us can be making changes to the same file. But right now, you are just submitting an assignment. So I'm not going to be making any changes. I'm just going to be reviewing and accepting it. But if you want me to work on a project together or change anything for you, you need to add me as a collaborator like that.
Okay, sir.
Okay, Joshua, please use the mic. Where is Joshua? Joshua, use the mic. Tell us, what is your question? Joshua, tell us, what is your question?
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, louder. I can hear you.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. Go ahead.
The way I'm seeing, sir, the way I'm seeing the code in the GitHub, does it actually mean that you can edit or you can actually write code in GitHub?
Yes, you can. If it is your own code, though, if it's your own code, you can. Now, this is my own code. I can come to this index.html, click on it. And after I click on it, I click on this pen. This pen here says edit. I can click on the pen and I can write anything I want to add. For example, let me just add H1 here. You know what? I just write this. But you get the idea. The idea is that you can type anything here. Now, if you don't want to go this way, let me add a comment. I'll add /. If you don't want to go this way, there's another way. But when you finish writing whatever you want to write, you need to come here and click on commit changes to save them. and then you say yes, save them. That's one way. Another way is to change this .com to .dev. So if you change it to .dev, it will open the whole code with VS Code. You can then write your code there and still commit changes and save. That's another way. So you can actually make changes on GitHub.
Okay, sir.
Any other question? Yeah. I don't know why the VS Code has opened now, and this is live on my browser. It's opening up. On VS Code, let's see if there's going to be emit on this VS Code. There's supposed to be emit on VS Code because all VS Code are the same. Anywhere you see VS Code, they are the same. It is from Microsoft. They are the same VS Code. No other person is building VS Code. Only Microsoft is building VS Code. So GitHub did not build this VS Code, but let's see if it has emit. H1, yeah, it has emit. It has emit here. So you can do whatever you want to do and save it. Like that. So any other question before we need to proceed? Any other question, please? Any question? No question. Do I have to call your names? George, are you with us? George, unmute your mic and tell us, are you with us? George. Hello, George, are you there? Hello, George, are you there? George, we are waiting for you. Who else? George, we are waiting for you. George, some persons will just pretend like that network is bad because they don't like talking in public. I understand. Some persons don't like talking in public. That is fine. So, but George, you have to say something. Unmute yourself, even if it's hello. I don't think I've heard your voice before. Who else? Gerard. Two of you are GG. So George and Gerard. Are the two of you with us? The two GG, George and Gerard. Are you here? Unmute your mic and tell us. Are you with us? See, the two of them are not with us. George and Gerard.
Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm with you. I understand what you're saying. Yes, I'm fluent with it, sir.
All right. Thank you. George, we are still waiting for you. George has left the call. Are you serious? Okay. Is there any other? George is still on the call. George, please unmute yourself and tell us, are you with us? George, are you with us? Now, the thing here is that no more uploading files as your assignment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead. Are you with us? Hello, George. Hello, George. Are you there? Okay. I take it that your network is not favorable, but that's fine. Bisola, do you want to say something? All right, Bisola, go ahead. Are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
All right. Thank you. So, somebody's asking us to throw more light on open source contribution. Open source contribution. Now, as a developer, you get the opportunity to work for free for big companies or big technologies. For example, say Facebook. All of us use Facebook, and Facebook is very big. But sometimes Facebook can decide to say, you know what, we want to build a certain future in Facebook, but we don't want our developers to build it. Maybe we want our developers to build it, but we are throwing it open. Any developer in the world that feels like, I want to be part of what you are building for free. So any company can do that. Twitter can do that. Netflix can do that. Any company, there are so many persons doing that. So they want to build a particular future, or maybe they are not building a particular future, but you as a developer, you have observed their software and you've seen something you can add, maybe by comment, maybe by code, maybe by suggestion, anyhow you want to contribute to them. So you just go and say, okay, I want to be part of this your project for free. For free. Now, some open source are not free. Some are paid, but some also are free. Now, some of them, they will not tell you whether they will pay you or not. But when you contribute, they will pay you. So it's not completely free, and it's also not completely paid. So these are the three types of open sources. So open sources means companies want to build a software and then they want to invite anybody to assist for free, maybe by comment, maybe by writing code, maybe by doing editing. So you being able to add comments or add code or add suggestion, that is how you do open source. Now, how do you find open source? Now, you can find a lot of open source on Twitter and on what is the other one? You can also find it on LinkedIn. But before the end of your project, we're going to find open source projects together and we'll join them and see. But bearing in mind that sometimes it can be free, sometimes it can be paid. But before the end of this project, we're going to find open sources and we're going to join. So I think we understand what open source means right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, is there any other question? In the absence of any question, we want to make Cynthia assistant course rep. All the eyes, put a thumbs up if you want it. We want to make Cynthia, first of all, we need to ask Cynthia, can you do it? Where is she? Assistant course rep, Cynthia, can you do it? Assistant course rep, can you do it?
Yes, sir. By God's grace, I can.
This one not for God's grace. So sometimes God will be looking at you like this. So we
I'll
have
try my best, sir.
Okay, we have only 3 thumbs up. Is there anybody dropping a thumbs up so that we go ahead and give it to her? Or we should find somebody else? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. All right, Cynthia. No, we actually have 20% in participation. We need to get about 11 thumbs up. 11. So let's go. 11. 11%. We go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. One more, one more, one more, one more, one more, one more. One more thumbs up before we end it. Am I getting the thumbs up? If we don't get another thumbs up, all right, Cynthia, officially you are our assistant course rep. So let's give her a thumbs up, a clap, whatever, just to appreciate. Where's my clapping self? Be the while I use clapping. Yeah, I think this is it. So officially, you are our assistant course rep. Please attend to questions, attend to people, whatever it is, the ones I miss, the one I miss on purpose, the ones I did not miss on purpose. Fine. So let's go back to course rep. I saw 3 names, Abi. I saw 3 names. Then 3. Okay, I have Eze, I have Joshua, and I have Stanley. These 3 persons volunteered to be course rep. Joshua, Stanley, and Eze. Joshua, Stanley, and Eze. You know what? Can I copy this thing? I can copy it and come to the general platform and drop it here. All right, so we have Eze, we have Joshua, and we have Stanley. This is what we are going to do. Tomorrow, I'm going to make a decision between the 3 of them. But if you have any comment, if you want to support anybody, send it to me privately. Tomorrow we are going to announce our course rep or our class rep, anyhow we want to call it. So, but for Cynthia is assistant course rep. Tomorrow we get a class rep. So, ladies and gentlemen, do we have any other question? Any question or what we have done so far? Any question? Or should I ask my own questions? Do we have any questions? So my first question would be this. Okay, Bisola has a question. Please, Bisola, go ahead. Where is the name? All right, go ahead. Use the mic. Tell us what is your question.
So, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, as you got the submission of assignment, so are we going to be dropping the link for the group? So you said Google Classroom anyway.
No. See, drop your link on Google Classroom. So, you submit your assignment as a private comment. So, yes. So, you no longer be uploading the files, but you will drop it a GitHub link. Now, the reason why I'm insisting that it must be GitHub is this. Now you are working on a project. You are going to be doing something I'm submitting. Say you are done with your project in 3 months. Well, this program is for 3 months. You are done in 3 months. You are going to build a final project before you actually consider that you are done. Everybody will build their own individual final full backend project before you be considered that you are done. So when you are done, you start looking for jobs. Now, recruiters will ask you to show us what you have done so far as an experience. What have you done? Now, if you are not been creating GitHub repos, if you have not been doing things and pushing to GitHub, what will you show them? You have nothing to show them. But before you end the program, if we start now and start creating repos, before we get to 3 months, some person will be having 20 repos, 21 repos, 10 repos, 15 repos. By so doing, you have something to present. Imagine you present 1 repo to a recruiter and somebody present 21 repo to a recruiter. Now, I have attended an interview where the HR was begging me to please be available for the interview. Just be available. It's not that we want to make sure you know it. No, just show up. So if a student shows 1 repo and the other one shows 21 repo, but the person who showed 21 repo will not be available and sends an email, please, can you reschedule my interview? Do you think they will reschedule it? Drop your answer. Let's just drop your answer. say you have a student, you have two students. One person has one repo, the other person has 21 repos. But the person who has 21 repos will not be available for the interview and sends an email, please reschedule my interview. Do you think they will reschedule? So why would they not just go ahead and hire the person that has one repo? Since you'll be available, just hire the person that has one repo. So that is why we need to start creating repos, and which is why I am mandating it. Like I said, I'm not here to make you fail or to make things difficult for you. No, whatever I'm doing here is to help you. So by the end of your repo, or by the end of your project, you should have repos and you can present something. Not just present something, you can sit and then defend whatever you present. So ladies and gentlemen, that is all that I have for you. Any other question?
Okay, sir. So are we going to be dropping the link on the comment section in Google Classroom?
For now, so long as you create a GitHub repo, you can drop it on GitHub Classroom, or we have an assignment topic here. Strictly for assignment, you can come here and drop it. These are the only two ways. You drop it on GitHub, Google Classroom, or you come here, we have an assignment topic, you drop it here on the assignment topic. Anyone. But not as I think the assignment is submitted as a private comment. I think so. Is it as a private comment? I can't remember. I think it's as a private comment. So you submit on Google Classroom, or you come here and drop it. I think that's it. So did I see one question like that? Now, Walter, you are not. Yes, you can actually upload the whole folder. Yes, you can. But what I want is that you select the files that are inside the folder. So it means that you have to open the folder, select the whole files, then drag the whole files and drop. That way it is better. But you can actually upload the whole folder if you want. But it is better that you select the files that are inside the folder and you upload them like that. So any other question? Yeah, you select all the things that are inside the folder. For example, if the one I just pushed now is inside the folder, and it is called CSS. Where is it? Sorry, this is cohort 1. Cohort 2 is called CSS2. You can choose to drag the folder like this. That's fine. But the best way is to open the folder, then select everything that is in the folder, including the images, the HTML, the CSS, everything like that. All right. Any other question? Do we have any? I think we are done with today's class. Yeah. So I think that's all. Now, if you haven't marked your attendance, please don't mark attendance twice so that we don't miss other people's attendance. And the attendance is not to drop hearts or this, is to drop a thumbs up so that we are in sync. Is a thumbs up, not this. And please don't drop more than one so that I will not skip other people's own, where I'm trying to skip the one number one, the one you've done. So all right. So any other question before we end today's class? To be sure, yes. Any question? If there is no question, please drop a thumbs up so that we can call it a day. If there is no question, please drop a thumbs up. For now, we are using, it has to be on Google Classroom, or we have a topic here for assignments only here. So you can either drop it here or you drop it on Google Classroom. So that being said, I think we should, okay. I dropped it. Let me, you know what? Let me just copy the codes again and drop it for you. I dropped it in the question and answer topic, but I think I have to drop it on the main section again. Let me drop it in. I dropped it here before, but I'll drop it in the general platform. Yeah. So that's it. See you guys tomorrow, and do have a good night. Bye.